What's up, everybody? Marty here, and today's gonna be a good one. I'm super pumped up. I'm just getting going here. I'm gonna stand up in just a second. Oh, kind of stretching things out. I hit pads for the first time in a long time last night, and it felt good. I didn't get hurt. I'm I'm doing good. But all that being said, man, this Mississippi weather, let me tell you, talk about small talk. I hate small talk. So I won't talk about the weather anymore. But what I will talk about is the podcast I'm about to lay down here. I've been reading Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes at the behest of Russell Brunson and doing what he said. So today it's about productivity and continued education, something that I don't necessarily have a problem with, but in my culture building and going off of that mantra, if you haven't made somebody mad by noon, then you're not marketing hard enough. I'm starting to take that to heart and understand why that's necessary. I don't just like to inherently pick fights, but it can be fun whenever it's for the right reasons. So, all right. Just checking my story structure one last time. Looking at that. Going off of Russell Brunson's Epiphany Bridge script in the book Expert Secrets. Highly recommend you pick that up. I'll probably leave a link below to go there. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, gearheads? Today we're going to talk about how to increase your productivity and continue your education. Nope, don't like it. Don't like it. Don't want to lead with that. Nope. Stop. All right. Take 2. 3, 2, 1. What's up, gearheads? Today we're going to talk about the importance of sharpening your axe and what that really means. So this morning I was reading chapter 2 in the Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, and it opened with the story that there were 2 woodcutters, and woodcutter number 1 worked all day long, never took any breaks, but he stayed consistent and he worked all day long. Woodcutter number 2, he was taking breaks all the time. He was not chopping wood more often than he was. And at the end of the day, the one that never took any breaks had a certain amount, and the woodcutter who took breaks all day long had 3 times the amount of the one who never took a break. And woodcutter number 1 was like, dude, what the hell? He was like, you were taking a break all day. He's like, no, I was sharpening the axe. So that begs or brings up the question, rather, is like, are you taking the time that you need to sharpen the axe? Because, whether we like to accept it or not, like my innate drive for gained advantage is so big. I thought this was because I was a gamer originally, but not really. It's just a personality type. The closest thing I know how to describe it is, as I've talked about a few times, Alex Sharfen's entrepreneurial personality type, which the streamers who deserve to win, that's you guys. You guys are the evolutionary hunters, and that's who I'm talking to. And the good thing and the bad thing about us is sometimes we get mesmerized by the hustle and grind, and that's so true for myself. I wanted to increase my productivity in what I was doing. And I talked about this yesterday and talked about chunking and how resolving one problem inherently leads to three more, but that's not a bad thing because you have choices. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure I was staying on the right slots, because growth creates complexity, and it's easy to have your focus go from one place to another rapidly if you're somebody like myself. And I crave momentum, whether it's forward momentum and we're making progress, that's awesome. If there's forces coming against me, it's still a good thing. Like one of the ways I derive certainty within myself, meeting my own needs, is I always, at the end of the day, I always get my musts. Tony Robbins says you get your shoulds when it's convenient, but you always get your musts. And knowing that is one of the most freeing things ever. It's kind of like, if you're familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at all, there's this position called half guard, and I'm going to use some 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu techno babble here for a second, so please forgive me. So you use the lockdown, which is pretty much you're using your legs to entangle their leg, and then you pull your knees to you, pick them up by the rib cage, roll onto your side to get up to the dog fight, aka just run them over. That's how you build momentum. But sometimes you get stuck on your side. Sometimes you're not all the way on your side yet, or sometimes you're halfway up and they're pressing against you, and you can switch directions and go the other route, which is the electric chair, which is exactly what I found that I do anytime I have a force coming against me. I just turn it around and make it my own momentum. It's a cool thing, but that being in constraint, no movement, just being held down in place, there is no worse feeling than that. And, sometimes when you get mesmerized by the hustle and grind of it all, especially if you identify as somebody who sets high goals and you're going out to achieve, if you don't feel like you're working hard enough, it's like, it hurts me to even think about. Whenever I think to myself, it's like, you're not hustling hard enough. Like, oftentimes I need to take a step back and ask someone else's opinion, because I don't always know. Sometimes people are like, dude, you look like you're dying. And it's like, I don't think I'm working hard enough. It's like, breaks are good. So sometimes, I've been known in the past and I've gotten in trouble for this, for not sharpening the axe. And, the best way that I've come to the conclusion of going about sharpening the axe, based off of what I read in The Ultimate Sales Machine this morning with Chet Holmes, is, only 10% of the population is self-motivated to continue education, keep current with the times, stay at the state of the art, stay at the cutting edge. That's only 10% of the people. And that means that the other 90% is a scrub. You don't want scrubs on your team, right? You guys know what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying this has nothing to do with skill level. That scrub mindset is the non-willingness to learn something to change your situation. You don't want scrubs. And I'd be willing to bet that 10% of the streaming population is innately motivated to self-educate and continue on. You guys are my people. The ones who just want to sit and complain all day long are not. So I want action takers. I'm talking to you guys, and you guys know this, but this is the plan I kind of came up with, to where I could make sure I was taking breaks to sharpen the axe. And I've done this with my body, with my mind, with my soul, so to speak, with my well-being. It's essential for me to stick to this 3-step plan. And I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Number one, it's like, visit the fundamentals, stick on the fundamentals, and make sure you're putting in reps on it every day. I often talk about getting 100 headshots a day, or I used to every day. Now it's backed off some because it's not in line with my goals, but things that are in line with my goals are podcasting every day, sharpening the axe, just doing a lot instead of a lot, a little. And then after I hit the fundamentals in all of these games, I kind of take a second and I assess the feedback. It's like, what happened? It's like, how do I feel, about what just happened? Is it good? Is it bad? Am I interpreting the emotion the right way? Because, there's going back to Tony Robbins, there's no such thing as negative emotions. You're just interpreting them in a disempowering way. An example of this would be, everybody knows how fear is, how crippling it can be, how you get crushed by the weight of fear, when instead, if you just took that as an action signal to prepare, then life would change instantly. And that's all emotions. I'm just using fear as an example. And after I've assessed the feedback, I refine the approach. I try to refine the approach. I try to do it just a little bit better the next time. And I figure out new ways to improve efficiency, but it's always following this 3-step plan. And this is similar to what Chet Holmes was talking about in the book. He was talking about how to keep your team productive. It's not just about you. It's about keeping the whole team productive, and how different ways to hold trainings and the certain ways to check in on your team to make sure the actual systems and infrastructure is being followed. And this is something that happens over time through this visiting the fundamentals, assessing feedback, and refining your approach process. And, I oftentimes look, I say oftentimes, most of the time, especially if I'm thinking clearly, I look to somebody who's been doing what I'm trying to do and model them as close to what they're doing as possible. That's why I got on to continuing my education and doing things like studying Russell Brunson, studying Stephen Larson and Trey Llewellyn and all these other internet marketers, because I was like, they've been doing this for a while. They know what they're doing. Why not just do what they say? But, over time, you're going to find that the target that you might be chasing, I know that I did at one time, was balance. I was trying desperately just to keep my life in balance. And I found that that's just not the right way, because you're always going to be disappointed, because it's not a winnable game. It's an illusion. Like, there's never a balance. You can be almost balanced. You can be so close, but perfection does not exist, and it's not a game that you can win. So, I've allowed myself to only play games that I can win. And oftentimes, if I'm playing a game and I can't win, it's because I've imposed this limit on my own self. And through time, it's like you get this hunting efficiency, and that's who we are. That's what we're after. We are hunters. And that's why I've done such crazy things like revamp my entire morning routine and change the way I got up to be, in line with the sun rising and going to sleep with the sun going down, or as close to it as possible. And it's made all the difference in the world. I talked about fear earlier. It's like fear is in the hips, is like an emotion is created by motion. And if you're not, I talk about health a lot, and this is a supposed marketing and wealth thing, but man, it's important, because if you're not around, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't really deliver on the things that you're promising. And that's just the truth. And, I've learned over time that happiness is in playing the game, because sometimes you can get stuck in sharpen the axe mode too and never use it. I've also been on that end of it. I remember I would spend days just visiting the fundamentals of everything, of building funnels, of getting headshots, of stretching and doing like rehab type of exercises. just stuck in doing only fundamentals and never actually playing the game. And it was funny that because whenever I wasn't playing the game, whether it was the game of marketing and business and making money, whether it was the game of my health or the game of relationships or whatever it is, I found that if I wasn't actually playing the game in one, I wasn't playing in the others either. So the closest thing to balance that you'll ever find in my own personal experience is playing the game in each of those three and implementing this process and sharpening the axe every day. So just remember, guys, you're one upgrade away. All right. That's pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to sign off for today, guys. But by the way, I got some really cool stuff on the horizon here. I can't quite talk about it yet, but it's big. It's right there. It's going to affect the whole way streamers monetize and make money. It's being put to the test right now. We're starting a beta group, and if you're interested in that, I would like to get you on the waiting list. So I'm going to leave the link for my waiting list down here. Hop on there because big things are coming, and it's so huge that I'm not going to. It's just like I talked about. This is not for scrubs. This is only for the elite. This is for the gearheads. So it's going to be down there. Hop on that waiting list so you for sure can make money while you sleep using your stream as the platform. So I'll see you guys.